All right, back with you. The Global Sumud Flotilla, with more than 50 boats from 44 countries, is sailing to Gaza to deliver food and medicine and to break Israel, what they call illegal blockade. Now, some South African activists are also on board, having joined this international flotilla mission led by the Nelson Mandela's grandson, Mandla. Now, for more on this, we're joined by Chris Andrews, an Irish senator, also a member of this flotilla. Chris, good to have you, and thank you very much for making time to talk to us. You're about to set sail?
Yes, we anticipate we set sail tonight or tomorrow to join some of the other boats who have already left. And we hope we will be successful in leaving as soon as possible to join the other boats.
Yeah. Talk to us about who you are really. I mean, 44 countries. How does this come about? How is this coordinated at such a global scale?
Well, it's a huge humanitarian mission. It is a really important humanitarian mission because, as South Africa knows, and South Africa has led the way in terms of standing up to Israel and holding Israel to account for and making sure there's consequences for Israel and for what they have committed, the genocide they have committed in Gaza, the starvation they've committed in Gaza, the famine they've committed in Gaza. And it is, governments generally across the world, European governments, the Irish government, have failed to hold Israel to account. So this mission means that because governments have failed, ordinary people are going to sail to create a humanitarian border. And as you said, 44 different nations are involved, and it's really, really important that ordinary people are involved and active, because governments, like I say, have failed to do what they should be doing.
You believe that this time around, this effort will break the blockade of Gaza, what you call an illegal siege? I mean, there was an attempt, at least earlier in the year. We do know what would have happened to that. The previous boats were seized. Those who were on it were arrested, and others say were brutally tortured.
Well, look, as I was on, previously I was on flotillas, and we were arrested and deported. And whether it's successful or not, and I believe it will be successful, but whether it's about focusing people's attention, people's minds on the genocide, the absolutely all the atrocities being committed, the racism, the apartheid in Gaza and the West Bank as well, because I believe that we have to keep the focus. We have to always try to do one step more than what we are doing. Yeah. And it is really important that we, as a people, we remember our humanity. Because when you see what's happening in Gaza, it is inhuman. And not just what's happening in Gaza, but Israel is also disassembling the international laws, the international protocols, the international regulations. They're dismantling everything. Law and order is now only for the wealthy, the well-off, and the powerful. And that is what we are saying for Gaza, but for humanity also. Yeah.
The fact that, Chris, I mean, it's yourself there. I'm sure you are well known now. You've been arrested before, prominent activist. You've got the likes of Greta Thunberg, also prominent activist. Does this not make it more of a target that you will be dealt with even more harshly because of your prominence?
Well, look, we cannot be, we cannot decide how they are going to act. We can only do our part and what we believe is the right thing to do. How they are responsible for their actions and we are responsible for ours. We believe opening up a humanitarian corridor into Gaza is the right thing to do. It's the human thing to do, and we need to get as many people involved and supporting this mission. And I believe, whatever happens, happens. But we have to do what we believe is the right thing to do. We believe we are on the right side of history.
Now, you've got, as you mentioned, ordinary people from the globe, from all over the world, from Denmark, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, South Africa, even from the UK and America. But these are not the governments. These are ordinary people that are coming on board this flotilla. What do you think governments should do to protect their own at this particular point?
Well, I have called, as an Irish member, as an Irish parliamentarian, I have called for the Irish government to send an observer boat or send observers to ensure that the flotilla reaches Gaza safely and we can deliver the humanitarian aid we have on board. And I think that all nations, the governments of the participants, should do likewise. So there should be support, practical support from the Irish government in my case, but in the case of other nationalities, their governments should send observers to ensure that there is safety for their citizens and the participants.
Yeah. Whatever happens, what do you think will be the legacy of the courageous men and women, including yourself, that are setting sail on board this flotilla?
Well, look, I honestly believe this will be a success. I believe it's really important to success. Who knows what's going to happen? But the primary focus should be on what's happening in Gaza. Whatever happens to us is secondary. It's important we focus on what's happening in Gaza. The people in Gaza are facing genocide and famine, man-made famine, Israeli-made famine. And they have turned Gaza into a graveyard. I remember 10 years ago, I was working in Gaza City in the Palestinian Center for Human Rights. And even then, 10 years ago, Gaza was bleak, dark place which had very little hope. And it has only got many, many, many times worse. And we need to sail, create a humanitarian border and deliver that aid. That's the focus, not on us as individuals or activists, on Gaza and the people, the Palestinians in Gaza, and like I say, also the West Bank, because I firmly believe what is happening in Gaza now is going to happen in the West Bank. When the Israelis deem their mission complete, they're going to transfer the firepower, the weapons, the bombs, the starvation to the West Bank. And I would believe this is going to just be the first stage in the cleansing of Palestinians, if they have their way, if humans don't and citizens of the world don't stand up for Palestine, and that's why we're here.
Yeah. Chris, reflect for us on your arrest. I mean, you're risking arrest again. You were previously arrested. How was that experience when you reflect back, and what did it communicate to you about what really is happening?
Well, look, my arrest and my deportation was nothing compared to what's happening in Gaza. So, like I said, it's not really about me. It's about the people in Gaza, the people starving, the children, the friends that I have in Gaza City, you know, the young footballers, the people I used to play football with when I was in Gaza City. It's about them. What they are going through is many, many times worse than anything that I have gone through. I am very privileged, and I acknowledge that, and I'm trying to use that privilege to ensure that there is justice for others who are not so privileged, who are facing genocide. And that has to be our focus as activists and as human beings.
Chris, we appreciate your time and thanks so much for coming on. That's Chris Andrews, an Irish senator on board the flotilla, set to set sail tomorrow. And he says it's really not even about the prominent activists who are on board, but really is about the people of Gaza, calling on his Irish government, but calling on governments of the world as well to ensure a safe passage of this particular flotilla. Send those who will be observers to ensure that the aid, medicine, support that is on board these flotillas, these 50 boats, actually gets to Gaza. We appreciate your time.